Welcome to the Health and Wellness Hour with Dr. Joel Wallach and pharmacist Keith Abell. They believe when it comes to nutrition and supplementation, the modern medical system has failed you, that our body is divinely designed to repair itself given the correct foundation of nutrients. With a combined 85 years experience in health, nutrition, and supplementation, they bring a unique perspective on how to manage disease and improve one's health. Over the next hour, Dr. Wallach and pharmacist Keith will discuss health and wellness topics seen in the news. They'll discuss trends in nutrition and supplementation and how you can take control of your own health and your future. Let's get on with the show. My name is Keith Abell. I'm a pharmacist and a holistic health coach. I want to welcome everybody today to the Campaign for Nutrition's Health and Wellness Hour. I've got with me my guest, Dr. Joel Wallach. He's a biomedical research pioneer. He's considered the founder of liquid colloidal minerals. He has a bachelor's degree in agriculture with a major in animal husbandry and a minor in field crops and soils. He also has a veterinary degree, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, and 3 postdoctoral fellowships. He spent over 40 years in the field of veterinary medicine, observing and researching the effects of individual nutrients on animal health before finally earning a doctorate of naturopathic medicine in 1982. As a pathologist, he has spent many years doing autopsies on various species of animals and comparing those to human being autopsies in the same areas. To date, he's done over 32,000 autopsies on various species of animals and humans. And all that work has culminated into a textbook that's called The Disease of Exotic Animals, which is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure. He's held key positions in various zoos and universities, also worked for the NASA space program with the rhesus monkeys in their program, the space monkeys. He has been published now more than 70 times in different scientific and medical journals. He's written 15 books now on human nutrition. In addition to the veterinary book that's in the Smithsonian Institute, he has a cassette tape that he did many years ago. He discovered many years ago that he wanted to get this information out to as many people as he possibly could. And as a naturopathic doctor, he was limited to the amount of patients he can see in his practice every day. You know, on a good day, he might see 20 to 25 patients, most likely 10 to 15 patients a day. And he knew that this information was vital and this information needed to get out to as many people as it possibly could. And he had to find a better way to do it. So the next step that Dr. Wallach took is he started traveling up and down the coast of California and Washington and Oregon, wherever he can drive within a day, because he still had a practice that he had to work on the weekdays. So on the weekends, he'd drive as far as he possibly could, go to different hotels and seminars and events and speak to the people about the need for better nutrition to prevent disease and to live a long, healthy life. Once again, he realized that, there's a big country out there. We've got over 300 million people in this country, and just traveling up and down the West Coast is only getting him to see a small percentage of the folks. So what he did back then is he decided to record one of those lectures, and that recording is called Dead Doctors Don't Lie. It has now been recorded and reproduced into 9 languages with over 600 million copies in circulation on cassette and on CD. This particular cassette tape here, someone slipped into my backpack when I was in pharmacy school. They didn't put their name on it, no contact information or anything. So I have no idea who gave this to me, but I'm thankful that they did, because that started me asking questions in pharmacy school about why is it we're learning how to manage disease with all these pharmaceuticals, but we're not teaching the people how to prevent the disease through good nutrition and supplementation. And doctors, the professors had 2 different comments that they always like to use. Number one, you get all the nutrition you need from the food that you eat. And Dr. White talks about that all the time. And number 2, they told me that people want a quick fix. They don't want to take responsibility for their health. And that never sat right with me. Their idea was a quick fix. We're going to give you a prescription drug to manage your high blood pressure. We're not going to teach you what you need to do to get rid of that high blood pressure, what you need to do to have your body repair itself through the proper nutrition, avoiding the bad foods, taking in the good foods, and supplementing. And that started me on a long journey that eventually led me to Dr. Wallach. I mean, my very first thing I did in pharmacy school, because this information wasn't out there, is I started the very first e-commerce site on vitamins and nutrition. And of course, this was back in the days before PayPal and all those types of things. So it failed miserably. Plus, I was a full-time student and didn't have the time to devote to it. But that's where I started. I started putting information out there on the internet in the very early days about different vitamins and nutrients and what they do and what diseases they prevent and what problems they can cause if you take too much of one thing. Fast forward to 2011. I'm a practicing pharmacist at that point. The industry has changed drastically. There's suddenly an overabundance of pharmacists because every single college that could possibly open a pharmacy school opened one, and they were cranking out the pharmacists by the hundreds, completely saturating the market. So in 2011, the company I was working for had put themselves up for sale, and in a way to reduce their expenses, they slowly were getting rid of all the pharmacists that had a lot of seniority, a lot of vacation time, and they're at the top of the pay scale. And 3 weeks before Christmas in 2011, I was one of those pharmacists. I was replaced by a new graduate making $30,000 less than what I was and was out of work. What I didn't realize at the time, because I didn't really realize how saturated the market was, there were no positions out there for pharmacists. It took me 2 years to find another pharmacy position. I only had a bachelor's degree. And at this time, all the pharmacy schools were cranking out pharmacists with doctorate degrees. And on top of that, all the hospitals were requiring residencies before they would hire a pharmacist. So I was out in the cold, bachelor degree pharmacist, an older guy, not young. And like I said, it took me 2 years to find another job in the long-term care industry, which I'm grateful for. And I love that job today. But during that 2 years, Dr. Wallach came to me. He was traveling through Kentucky, and he was having an event here in town with a local radio station. And he asked me to come have breakfast with him. Now, I've been talking to Dr. Wallach for many, many years. He's helped me with my mother-in-law when she had a quadruple bypass, almost 10 years prior to that. And I've been following his protocols with my patients in the pharmacy using the available vitamins and nutrients that I had. Fortunately, I had a GNC store, so I was able to get a lot of the nutrients that Dr. Wallach suggested, but they were very expensive. I mean, it was to get everything that somebody needed that Dr. Wallach suggested in his 90 for Life program. It was over $400 by getting it through that GNC program. But I did get patients to follow my lead on that and started seeing patients get better. Diabetes getting under control, blood pressure going away, bone and joint problems going away. So I've been following Dr. Wallach's protocols in my pharmacy practice for years. But when he came to town, he showed me how I could join him in his crusade and start helping people by following the 90 essential nutrient program that Dr. Wallach laid out at a lot less costs than what they were spending at that GNC store. And that started me on this process and on this journey. Once a month, I had the opportunity to travel with Dr. Wallach to different speaking events, which those events and that travel time in the car, sometimes we traveled a whole day in the car. I learned more about nutrients and the body and health than I did in all the years of my pharmacy training. And I wish that's something that every pharmacist and every physician in the country had the opportunity to spend that time with Dr. Wallach so they can learn as well. That put me on this mission now to get this information out there to as many people as I possibly can. I've joined Dr. Wallach's crusade. I've do this program every Monday in order to get the message out there. And I thank Dr. Wallach for his time and his patience in working with this pharmacist that's traditionally trained in the pharmaceutical world, in the world of modern medicine. But Dr. Wallach likes to call me the recovering pharmacist because I help people recover from the long list of pharmaceutical drugs that they're dependent on. Dr. Wallach, how are you this morning?
Well, very fine. Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Pharmacist Keith, and thank you for all the good work you do and all the people you help. And of course, the problems continue to go on. for various reasons that you mentioned. And one of the things that people don't realize is that we in America are really in trouble. We have, as you pointed out, we have 332 million population, and we're just short of 1 million dead from the COVID. We have 907,190 dead. There's a lot of people who think that vaccinations kill viruses, bacteria, fungus, and yeast. And really, the bottom line is vaccinations do not do that. What they do is they alarm your immune system. That's the whole idea. When they send a killed virus or bacteria or a modified virus or bacteria, which is not dead, but they render it unable to make an infection, either chemically or heat or something. And yet we have, I don't know what the figure is right now. I had to look it up. It's somewhere between 30,000 and 50,000 breakthrough infections and deaths, people who've been vaccinated. Now, to get down to answering Pharmacist Keys' questions, I do have 15 books. I got another one coming up here pretty quick. There'll be 16 books then. We have 50 DVDs, 100 CDs. We'll get into that in a minute. But I want everybody to remember that there are no genetically transmitted diseases. There are no genetically transmitted diseases. When doctors don't know what it is, they blame it on your genes. Well, you had 5 generations of this disease in your family. Well, it's because everybody ate the same way and lived in the same county and cooked the same way. And that's why they have the same history of diseases. It's not because of genetics. And then my thesis, as you pointed out, from disease of exotic animals, I was actually on my white rhino conservation project, which was my first postdoctoral fellowship in South Africa, in Natal province, in the let's see here, the white rhino conservation projects, and I actually caught 200 of them. There was only 475 left at that time, and they didn't give them but a year or two to live, and they would be gone species. So I caught 200 of them, sent them back to the United States so we could at least have them in the zoos. Okay, and then to make a long story short, we helped make wild animal parks there in South Africa, again in Natal province for them, and also in southern and northern Rhodesia. And the CDC just came out about 2 months ago and said now there's 21,000 white rhino. Back then it was only 475, and now there's 21,000. So we've been very successful at doing that. But at any rate, they called me back to be the pathologist on this big NIH study, as you pointed out. That was my first, what should I say, big pathology project. In 10 years' time, between 1967 and 1977, I did 20,000 autopsies, 17,000 and some change over 454 species of animals and 3,000 humans. And again, to make a long story short, I found out there were no genetically transmitted diseases. They're all nutritional deficiency diseases. And it was 5,000-page thesis, and it's in the Smithsonian Institute's National Treasure. And it was the rights to that thesis was bought by the biggest medical textbook publishing company, W.B. Saunders, and they rendered it down to 1,200 pages. And it's the disease of exotic animals. It's in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure. Then we have Epigenetics, which is a real detailed explanation of everything I was saying in that more scientifically rendered book, Disease of Exotic Animals, called Epigenetics. That's available to everybody through us. And then Black Gene Lies, all the diseases in Black people who are said to be genetic disease are really just nutritional deficiencies. And that's important now, because this next month, starting tomorrow for 30 days, it'll be Black History Month, and everybody should be giving out and buying for themselves, whether you're white or Black or Asian or Latino, doesn't matter, because the same thing is true for whites and Asians and Latinos. Black Gene Lies, the book, and Black Gene Lies, the CD. And then we have, let's see here, Hell's Kitchen, which goes into the story of why all this began to happen. Up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, on Pearl Street, New York City, in the bluff overlooking the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge, everybody was eating the same way and cooking the same way in wood stoves. And we didn't have electricity until I was 9 years old. We had a wood stove until I was 9, on our little farm in Missouri. And but at any rate, at that when they pulled the switch, when Thomas Edison pulled the switch at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, September 4th, 1882, within 20 years, 40 different diseases appeared that never had occurred in big quantities before. And they were blaming it on genetics, which was the new darling of the medical system. And really, it was because they didn't have access to the wood ashes anymore. Wood ashes were used as fertilizer in the garden. Wood ashes were 98% minerals and 2 or 3% carbon. Okay, but at any rate, it goes back to the fact that we were also putting wood ashes into our food. Grandma used to have me as a little kid. I'm 3 or 4 years old. I'm taking the wood ashes out of the wood stove in the morning, giving her a pot full of wood ashes so she would mix them in our food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're getting minerals that way. People are still in third world countries are still getting wood ash minerals that go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago.
So you mentioned Black History Month is coming up. I have a video that you can watch. It's called Black Lives Do Matter. If you go to Black Genes, that's GENES, blackgenes.campaignfornutrition.com, you can see that video there. It's called Black Lives Do Matter. So just wanted to throw that out there. All right, Dr. Wallach, you talked a little bit about the, some of your research, and you talked a little bit about the current health crisis in America that's going on, not just the pandemic, but nutritional deficiencies. And I wanted to bring up a couple subjects that have been in the news and in social media, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. One of them is zinc. We know that zinc helps boost the immune system. For decades now, zinc has been something that pharmacists recommend when a person has a cold or the flu to help shorten the length of the symptoms. You suck on a zinc lozenge and it helps shorten the duration of the symptoms. There's a problem with zinc that we don't talk about enough, is that, when you're using these zinc lozenges and these things, it's supposed to be a temporary thing while you have a cold. Now, with the coronavirus that's out there, people are taking zinc for a long-term period. And the problem with zinc long-term is it starts depleting your body's own copper and selenium. And that's why, when we have a product that we put out there, that Dr. Wallach puts out there, and the company that he represents, we make sure all the different cofactors are in the nutrition that we recommend. We don't recommend taking zinc by itself and not taking anything else. You've got to make sure you're getting all the 90 essential nutrients that you need. And I am now suggesting, because of a recent article that I saw, they've noticed that in the past year, during coronavirus, there has been a huge increase in the amount of cataracts that they're starting to see in patients. And what they determined, it wasn't coronavirus that was causing the increase of cataracts. What they determined was it's the massive increase in zinc consumption that people are doing during this pandemic long term, and not having the other cofactors with it that your body needs. So long term, it's starting to cause a copper deficiency and a selenium deficiency, and that's what's leading to the cataracts. So when we recommend that you take the zinc, we're also recommending that you take the selenium supplement, because our selenium supplement has the copper and all the other cofactors that's necessary there. So can you, I know you did a big research in China where it was all centered around selenium, and you've done some other things, regarding selenium deficiency. And again, I'm not telling you to go out there and just buy selenium, because then you're going to have the same problem by just buying selenium that you have by just buying zinc. You got to make sure you have all the 90 essential nutrients when you do this. But tell us a little bit about selenium deficiencies and what that causes. And then if you can, after you do that, talk a little bit about copper deficiencies.
Okay. Well, selenium deficiencies, of course, on the short term, that's one of my big projects. I have 12 lawsuits in federal courts against just about everybody. I was successful in each one of them. And that's why I don't hear about certain diseases anymore. I discovered the first non-human case of cystic fibrosis, which is supposed to be the classic example of a genetically transmitted disease, a birth defect, if you will. And it's supposed to be familial gene and so on, but it's a birth defect caused by a bad gene. Well, actually, it was caused by a deficiency of selenium. Okay. And it would cause the problem with the pancreas and the liver. And then, of course, the lung thing was usually the thing that killed the babies from cystic fibrosis, and that was caused by a nutritional deficiency of the essential fatty acids. So they had two deficiencies, essential fatty acids and selenium, and they would die from cystic fibrosis. Well, I found the first one. That's when I was working for NASA at the Yerkes Primate Center at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. And I found this one, and I sent slides to about a half a dozen different medical schools around the country. But I didn't tell them that it was from a monkey. I just said, I think this is cystic fibrosis. What do you think? And they sent back on their letterhead, yeah, this is a classic example. Then I sent them back a letter saying, well, this is from a monkey, and I think this is the first non-human case. If nothing else, we have a laboratory animal we can study the disease. Well, they were all excited. Well, I was in the newspaper every day for 3 months. I was on radio talk shows. I was being interviewed by everybody. It was like crazy. Okay. And then I got permission to do biopsies in the other 24 baby monkeys in the colony, and they all had cystic fibrosis. And that's because a behaviorist who was in charge of the diet of the monkeys saw that they were pulling each other's hair and fighting with each other. He said, well, they got too much time on their hand. So he took their monkey pellets, all the vitamins and minerals away from them, and just gave them carrots and bananas and apples and cucumbers and things like that. So they'd be busy dealing with the food, and they stopped pulling the hair, but the babies all had cystic fibrosis. And so I put out, a thing that I wanted to speak to the National Institutes of Health, and they got me a speaking slot in one of their big events for the National Institutes of Health. And so I had to present a paper. So I presented the paper to them, and they fired me because they said cystic fibrosis wasn't genetic. So they fired me. That's when I went back to school and became a naturopathic physician. And then, let's see here. I had to go through many years before I got that lawsuit to get those nutrients put into baby formulas. And that's why you don't hear about cystic fibrosis anymore. I also did a lot of work with muscular dystrophy, which is called white muscle disease in calves and lambs and stuff like that. It's called white muscle disease. And it's supposed to be a genetic disease in humans. Of course, they had the telethon every year, and Jerry Lewis, and he raised $2 billion over 20 years. He raised $2 billion through the telethon to, search for the cure for muscular dystrophy. And I gave him 12 cases, which we had reversed muscular dystrophy in by just simple nutritional diet and supplements. And the doctors signed off on it and said, we don't know why, but they don't have muscular dystrophy anymore. Well, Jerry Lewis got excited about it. He took it to the Muscular Dystrophy Association, and they immediately fired Jerry Lewis. They immediately fired Jerry Lewis, the guy who raised $2 billion for him, and ended the telethon. That's why you don't hear about cystic fibrosis and muscular dystrophy anymore. Well, as a side thing, some years later, another lawsuit, I got that nutrient put into baby formulas again. Okay, and we eliminated sudden infant death syndrome. Sudden infant death syndrome, doctors were blaming it on mothers sleeping and laying on the babies, and when really they were dying from hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart disease, which is a nutritional deficiency of selenium. So we're putting in our selenium these copper and zinc and other things along with the selenium because of the cofactors necessary to make the selenium more effective. And to make a long story short, suddenly a year after that lawsuit was constituted, we won it. It was April 16, 2013. The court ruled in our favor to put these nutrients in the baby formula, Similac, Infamil, and the like. And a year and a half later, sudden infant death syndrome disappears. There's no more cases of sudden infant death syndrome. And that's because it wasn't the mothers laying on the baby. 98% of them died in their crib. The mothers weren't in the crib with the baby, but they died of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart disease, the same heart death that causes sudden death in young athletes. Okay, and it was actually first found and discovered and studied and figured out what the cause was in turkeys and animals. So again, animals were our information source and so on. And so you don't hear anything about sudden infant death syndrome anymore because through, again, our latest lawsuit, April 16th, 2013, the court ruled in our favor to put that nutrient into the baby formulas. And so we eliminated that heart attack in these babies who were 3 months old, 6 months old, and so forth. And they weren't being laid on. They were dying of a heart attack due to this nutritional deficiency. And these are the sort of things I've been involved with, gosh, for 50 years. And so with that, I think a copper deficiency will cause aneurysms because you get a breakdown of the elastic fibers in your arteries. It also causes gray hair. It also causes, let's see here, spider veins and varicose veins and hemorrhoids, because you get a breakdown of the elastic fibers in the walls of the veins and the arteries. And you get skin wrinkles, again, because you're missing that nutrient. And so this is why I'm 83, and most people think I'm 45 or 50 when they look at me, because I don't have those problems. And I have the energy of an 18-year-old, but I have none of the diseases that normally start appearing in people who are 40, 50, 60 years old, because I've been taking these things since I was 9. So I hope that answers the question.
It sure does. And all those different diseases you just mentioned, selenium was the primary thing you were investigating, but copper is also involved in the same disease processes.
That's correct. Yeah, copper is required as a cofactor to make elastic fibers in the walls of arteries and veins in your skin, your intestinal walls,
the lungs on the cystic fibrosis patients. Yeah.
Go ahead.
A couple of years ago, I saw a article that was published about cystic fibrosis, and in the article, in the conclusion, they even said, in order to make the cystic fibrosis medications work better, the patients needed to be supplemented with selenium. And I found that interesting, because that's what you've been saying for years.
Yeah, that's kind of a sideways of coming at it. And They forget that your respiratory system is 85% by weight cartilage.
Right.
What? Your trachea, your bronchi, your bronchioles, the little stems, all your alveoli, all the little air sacs are hanging on to, are all cartilage. And so the MSM, the collagen peptides are really necessary to make sure that your lungs are good.
All right. The next thing I want to talk about very briefly, but because we do have some callers with questions. Before I do that, the food and dietary products that we mentioned in this program are intended to contribute to the daily diet and overall health. These things are not intended for use in the prevention, treatment, mitigation, or cure of any disease or health-related condition. Folks who have or suspect they have an illness, or who wish to commence a diet or exercise program, should consult an appropriately licensed healthcare practitioner for medical history evaluation, diagnosis, treatment, and health recommendations. And folks, there's plenty of healthcare practitioners out there now that are well versed in the field of nutrition and supplementation. If you decide to see a healthcare professional, that's one of the things I want you to ask them first is, what is their opinion on vitamin supplements and taking vitamins. And if they say you get all the food that you need from the 4 food groups, then you want to run away from that practitioner, because that practitioner is not up to date on all the information that's out there. They're not doing you a service. My wife managed to find a nurse practitioner that she works with that, that's one of the things I asked when we first went to her. And, she is very much in line with making sure a person takes the nutritional supplements that they need, and that there is ways to prevent disease by making sure you have the appropriate nutrition. So that's why I just want to encourage you folks to do that. Vitamin D is also in the news because it has shown positive effects on the immune system. And I'll let you talk briefly about that in a second. But there's a problem with vitamin D also. If you don't have, with that vitamin D, if you're not getting vitamin K in a sufficient amount and a sufficient amount of calcium, that vitamin D is not going to work. So if you go to the pharmacy and you buy a vitamin D supplement off the shelf, it may or may not do the job for you because it doesn't have those cofactors in it. And again, that's why Dr. Wallach and the company that he represents make sure that the cofactors are in there. When you buy our vitamin D, you're getting the appropriate amount of vitamin K to help that vitamin D work properly. There's also a little bit of calcium in there that the vitamin D needs in order to work properly. And, the medical system wants you to have, when they test your vitamin D levels, if it's under 30, 15 to 30, they're saying that you're at an appropriate level. But what we're seeing in the coronavirus and in the research with that is it actually needs to be between 50 and 100. The closer to 100 you can get it, the better. So I encourage you, when you do see your practitioner for your blood work and that type of thing, to make sure they're doing a vitamin D level for you so you can see where you are on that. Okay, Dr. White, so really quickly, what's the importance of vitamin D in the immune system? And then, like I said, we've got some questions here.
Okay, well, I appreciate those remarks with my website, www.drjwallach.com, www.drjwallach.com. And you can get a hold of all these CDs and DVDs and books and all this information. Okay, we have volume discounts, and you buy cases, you get big discounts. Okay, now vitamin D3 works because it helps maintain and rebuild bone. Now, your bone marrow is your immune system. Your bone marrow is your immune system. Your bone marrow is your immune system, okay? Because it has the ability to make white blood cells, stem cells to make antibodies, red blood cells, platelets, and all kinds of other stuff in your bone marrow. Your bone marrow is not going to be happy no matter what else you're taking. If you're not getting vitamin D3 to absorb it, and of course, that's why we came up with the collagen peptides. We have the Beyond OsteoFX, and we have all that kind of stuff to take, which I've been doing for 50 years myself. I'm, like I say, 83 years old and doing pretty good for 83, I think. And so the way vitamin D3 works is to absorb the minerals so that it can maintain the strength and the functioning of your bone marrow.
Vitamin D is a critical component of the production of red blood cells, because without vitamin D, your body can't use the iron to make the red blood cells. And that's another area when you have a iron anemia.
Your red blood cells are made in the bone marrow.
They're made in the bone marrow. And that's another thing that they look at when you have, or should be looking at when you have iron deficient anemia, is they need to be looking at your vitamin D levels in addition to your iron levels, because vitamin D is a critical component of the production of red blood cells.
Absolutely. You get an A+ pharmacist, Keith.
All right, so let's get to some questions. I know I had a couple people on the Zoom that wanted to ask a question, and I have some questions over on Facebook. So let's start off on Zoom. If you have a question.
Yes, I have a question.
There we go. And who are you?
This is Christine.
Christine. Okay.
Yes, I have a question in reference to female, 67 years old, 100 pounds, was in a car accident and the airbag hit her chest. And so as a result of that, there were some changes in blood pressure readings or whatever. And it came to find out that she had extra heartbeats since the accident. This wasn't there before. And the doctor didn't want to put on medication. So it was watched, and medication was never started. And also there's high blood pressure, and with the eye, there's still the swelling above the left eye that they thought might have been due to thyroid problems. But the thyroid was shown to be balanced, and she's been taking the 90 and the Z radical. But for the last 6 months, it's been very hectic due to deaths, 2 family deaths and other problems.
Right. Right.
And so the arrhythmia, the extra heartbeat started back. So
Yeah,
Okay,
Dr.
now,
Wallach, that sounds like a classic thing, what you talk about all the time in your book.
Yes.
For the head.
It's all in your head. Extra heartbeat is called AFib, atrial fibrillation. The skull is squeezing the 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, which controls the rate and rhythm of the heart. The high blood pressure is a simple nutritional deficiency disease, and swelling over the left eye is not going to be a thyroid issue, because the thyroid is not just left-handed. It doesn't just work on the left eye. Anything the thyroid does is going to be bilateral, okay, on both sides. So you know, what happens is the skull can squeeze the optic nerve, the optic artery, and the optic vein, okay, on one side. And when that happens, you get a swelling there. You get pressure in the eye and say, oh, you have glaucoma. But is it because you have osteoporosis of the skull squeezing that optic artery and the optic vein? And so the return is difficult because the vein is shut off and so forth. And so these are things that doctors don't know anything about. They're very ignorant of this subject. And that's why I wrote the book. It's all in your head. And again, you can go to www.drjwallach.com. But at 100 pounds, she needs to be on one healthy brain and heart pack per month, a half a dose of everything twice a day. She needs 1 bottle a month of the MSM, so you can take 3 with each, 3 twice a day, 3 at breakfast, 3 at dinner time. She needs the collagen peptides, a scoop of that with her breakfast drink and a scoop of that with her dinner drink. She needs the vitamin D3. You can take 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. And because she has high blood pressure, I also have her get 2 bottles a month of the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, take 3 twice a day. And if she's on medication for her high blood pressure, don't cold turkey off of that. But as the blood pressure begins to drop, she can slowly reduce the medication based on the numbers. And let's start there.
It also could be, the injury to the neck from the car accident can cause the same things and pinching the same nerves. So you might also seek a chiropractor to give temporary relief. It's not going to fix the problem, but it may give some temporary relief while these nutrients do their job to rebuild the damage that's been done. So whether it's damage from the wreck causing it or it's osteoporosis causing it, it's the same protocols either way.
Yeah, well, if she has any local pain in a joint, her neck or any place else, shoulder, back of her head, we do have the CM cream, okay, and the trauma oil, which you can apply to that topically. It'll give you about 2 hours of pain relief. And then we have the Soothe from our Hemp FX division. There's no THC in it, but it's a CBD oil product, Soothe, in a little pump bottle. That'll give you 4 hours of pain relief, putting it topically wherever you have pain.
Absolutely. And if you want free samples of the Soothe, just pay shipping and handling. Go to aimhighwithhemp.com, aimhighwithhemp.com, and you can get a free sample there, just paying shipping and handling. All right, I got Lynn. She has a friend that's 40 years old, 5'6", 120 pounds, no other health issue, has been diagnosed with lupus in addition to nutrient deficiencies. Okay. I've read it's caused by parasites. Don't believe that. And the fact that it says no other health issues, but she has nutritional deficiencies, you need to fire that doctor, because if she's got nutritional deficiencies, she's got other underlying health issues that may not have been diagnosed yet.
Okay, well, lupus, usually they have rosacea on their face. They have all kinds of joint problems and skin problems, things like psoriasis and bowel problems. Okay, well, this is because this lady is eating gluten. She got to get rid of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, no barley, rye, no oats, or no such thing as gluten-free oats. The gluten in oats is called gliadin, but it's still gluten. And so she needs to totally get off of gluten. Everybody in the household, so there's no cross-contamination on the food preparation surfaces and the laundry. And then at 120 pounds, she's right on that cusp, but because she's been diagnosed with lupus, she has all this other stuff going on. I'd have her take 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose of everything twice a day. I want her to get 2 bottles a month of the MSM, so you can take 3 with each meal. And then I also, that's going to help her skin, her bowels, and all that kind of stuff. All her organs and cartilage and tendons and joints and so on, and skin. And then I also want her to have vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. I also want her to have the collagen peptides, a scoop of that with a breakfast drink, a scoop of that with dinner drink. And let's see here. Hair, skin, and nails. Hair, skin, and nails. 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. And then call us every couple of weeks, because she's going to have a magic story.
Okay. Anyone else on Zoom have questions? While I check the Facebook side, jump right on in there.
Hi, I have a question. I have some friends with
Okay. I'm sorry. Who are you first?
Oh, Esther Jones.
Esther. Okay, go ahead.
And I have some friends with Parkinson's, and I would like to know, can Dr. Wallach heal Parkinson's?
Okay, well, their body heals Parkinson's disease. Okay, Parkinson's disease, doctors want you to believe is an autoimmune thing. That, the body's attacking the brain, and that's why they have tremors and all this kind of stuff. But it's many, many things involved here. They need to get rid of all the bad stuff: no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, no butter, rye, no oats, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. Even the diet ones got to go. Then they need the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, the MSM. They need the de-stress capsules. They need the vitamin D3. They need the collagen peptides, the Fucoid Z capsules. If they prefer liquid, it's called Z radicals. The same stuff. It's just in a liquid. Just follow the dosage on the label, because I don't know how much your friends weigh and so forth. And so either the Z radical or the Fucoid Z. and it's made from the seaweed from one ocean, and it really helps with this sort of thing. So that whole package, and getting rid of all the bad foods, Parkinson's goes away. It's not an autoimmune disease, although doctors will tell you it's an autoimmune disease affecting your brain. No, it's a nutritional deficiency, and it could have some osteoporosis of the skull involved. So again, every family needs to have one of these books. It's all in your head. There's 25 different diseases that are caused by osteoporosis of the skull. And of course, the medical system, which I say they have, Pharmacist Keith, what do you think is the average number of pharmaceuticals that somebody over 60 years of age takes in America?
I'm not in the community practice, so I can't answer on the community side, but I can answer in long-term care, which we're probably seeing people even older than that. It's not uncommon to see folks on 20 to as many as 50 different drugs in the long-term care setting.
Wow. So, yeah, so when you take a nutritional program and change the diet to correct the diet, the need for those pharmaceuticals, for the most part, go away.
All right, 42-year-old female, 165 pounds, 5'2", has had a tumor removed from the pituitary gland, and now she has been suddenly diagnosed with diabetes.
Okay.
Always thirsty.
Okay. 165 pounds, pituitary issues. She needs to get off of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat butter rhinos, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. Even the diet one's got to go. And I'd have her take 2 healthy brain and heart packs a month, a full dose of everything twice a day. I'd have her take the MSM, 1 bottle a month, so you can take 3 twice a day. I'd have her take the collagen peptides, a scoop of that with her breakfast drink, a scoop of that with her dinner drink. And then I want her to take the HGH. I want her to take three of those twice a day. Well, if she had the surgery, I'd have her take 5 twice a day. So 1 bottle a month is going to do it. I go through 1 bottle a month myself. I only weigh 142 pounds. I just take it for prevention. Okay. The HGH, it has the raw materials that make your pituitary happy and your hypothalamus and your brain happy. And then the vitamin D3 and the collagen peptides, I said that, vitamin D3 and de-stress capsules for brain metabolism. Also, she needs to eat, let's see, things like eggs, 3 eggs twice a day. Oh, cholesterol. Cholesterol is your best friend, makes up 75% of the weight of the brain, cholesterol. And if you're on statin drugs, you're in trouble because you will get Alzheimer's disease. Statin drugs cause Alzheimer's disease because it shuts off your cholesterol supply. But remember, your brain is 75% by weight cholesterol. Also, female hormones, estrogen, progesterone, are 95% by weight cholesterol. Male hormones, testosterone, are 95% by weight cholesterol. And you're going to have a very boring life if you stop eating eggs. You want the eggs runny? Hard-boiled eggs don't count. They have to be soft, runny yolks. I have 3 for breakfast and 3 for dinner. You know, no matter what else I'm eating, I have my 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks. And that makes a big, big difference in your ability for your brain to work properly and all your hormones to work properly. Yahoo.
Yeah, and when we say Alzheimer's disease, we're really talking about the entire spectrum of dementias out there.
That's correct.
It's not just Alzheimer's disease that's affected by the cholesterol levels. It's just dementia in general.
That's correct.
And we have the tendency in America now that if somebody has a dementia, we just call it Alzheimer's.
Well, that's what doctors do because guess what? When you look at the insurance scale, more money is paid out for Alzheimer's disease than all the other dementias combined. And so they go there because that's where the money's at.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody else on the Zoom side? If you have a question, jump on while I'm looking on
Hi.
Facebook.
Hi, this is Cherie.
Cherie,
Can you hear
thank
me?
you. Absolutely.
Hi. My friend passed out yesterday and is in the hospital. He was told he has ammonia around his liver. He's 68. He's 5'9". He weighs 165. He's not a diabetic. He does have high blood pressure and he hiccups a lot. He does have a drinking problem.
Okay, well, hiccups are caused by osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the 10th cranial nerve, and also the recurrent branch of the 10th cranial nerve, which causes your diaphragm to do the hiccup thing. Okay, it's osteoporosis of the skull. And so he needs to get a hold of the book. It's all in your head, www.drjwallach.com. It's all in your head. Yeah, hiccups is a giveaway for that recurrent nerve, which is a branch of the 10th cranial nerve, which is being squeezed in the skull by osteoporosis. The liver thing, again, is very easy, and the high blood pressure is very easy. So it's got to get rid of all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, brown, rye oats, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. Even the diet one's got to go. 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose thing twice a day. 2 bottles a month of the MSM, so you can take 3 with each meal. 1 canister a month of the collagen peptides, so you can take a scoop at breakfast, scoop at dinner time. The high blood pressure, 2 bottles a month of the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, so you can take 3 at breakfast, 3 at dinner time. Don't cold turkey off the medication for high blood pressure, but as the blood pressure begins to drop, you can slowly reduce the medication based on the numbers. And the liver on this program will heal very quickly. If it's just a nutritional deficiency, which is, it sounds like it's this whole thing with this person, this guy is a nutritional deficiency, which is not unusual in alcoholics, but he's got to work on every time he wants to have a drink of alcohol, he needs to be taking maybe our rebound or sports drink instead. And he may get away with the sports drink, say, in the beginning, 3 times out of 10. But then after a week or two, it'll be 5 times out of 10. After a month, it'll be 8 times out of 10. And after 2 months, he should be able to wean off of the alcohol.
Absolutely. And one other thing, want to make sure he is not taking in high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup does not process the same way as regular sugar does in your body, and it gets stored very quickly in the liver as fatty liver. So in addition to alcoholism, which causes fatty liver, any type of high fructose corn syrup, which is in all the different sodas, compounds that problem. So I want to make sure you eliminate all the high fructose corn syrup out of the diet as well.
Yeah, well, that's the advantage of getting the books, because all that kind of stuff is in there. And so www.drjwallach.com.
Okay, Dr. Wallach, let's see, we got just a couple more minutes. Anybody else have a question? Wow.
We've got time for one more.
We got time for one more.
Okay, I have a female age 65, 5'5", 200 pounds. She's not a diabetic. She does have high blood pressure. She says she's only sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night. She wakes up with bad headaches, stiffness in her neck and her back, and she has bad ringing in her ears, and the room spins.
Okay, that's called vertigo. Yeah, she got osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the, let's see here, the auditory branch of the 8th cranial nerve for the tinnitus, the ringing in the ears, and the vertigo is the vestibular branch of the 8th cranial nerve being squeezed. If she thinks about it, there's other things going on there. At 200 pounds, she needs to get rid of all the bad foods: no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, no butter, rye oats, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. Even the diet one's got to go. 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, the full dose, everything twice a day. 2 bottles a month of the HGH, so you can take 3 with each meal. She needs, let's see here, 1 canister a month of the collagen peptides, so you can take a scoop at breakfast, scoop at dinner time. She needs vitamin D3, 3 of those. I go with 3 times a day. It'll be 3 bottles a month of the vitamin D3. She also needs 2 bottles a month of the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. So you can take 3 with breakfast, 3 at dinner time. Don't cold turkey off her high blood pressure medication, but as the blood pressure begins to drop, she can slowly reduce the medication based on the numbers. And the tinnitus and vertigo go away very quickly. But she's got to stay on this program forever, because, you know, she's 65 years old, and without these nutrients, you cannot maintain yourself. You cannot get everything you need from your 4 food groups. You cannot get everything you need from the 7 food group pyramid. That is all a lie to keep you on those 35 prescription drugs.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
Dr. Wallach, you're on the
Thank
radio
you.
twice a day. Folks can get questions answered there. How do they reach you on the radio?
Okay, from noon to 1 Pacific time, okay? That's Dead Doctors Don't Lie. It's toll free. It's toll free. You can call me at 1-888-379-2552. Again, that's toll free, 1-888-379-2552. And then from 1 to 2 every day, Monday through Friday. So Let's Play Doctor. It's also toll free, 1-877-912-PLAY. That's toll free, 1-877-912-7529. And these two programs are toll free. I've been doing them for over 30 years. We have a huge audience. So you do want to call early. Don't call in the middle of the show and expect to get on, because it's a big following after 50 years.
Mhm.
And so we do have a big audience, but you can listen. Doesn't cost you anything to listen also. Okay. And so again, drjwallach.com, www.drjwallach.com. And what a great gift of love. You give somebody a book, a CD, a DVD that's going to help them with a health problem or protect them from getting health problems, add 25 to 50 healthier years to their life. But this is something you're going to have to proactively do. You're going to have to proactively do it. And it's one of those things where it is the best investment you can make in your life and the life of the people you love. So with that, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wallach. Again, that's Dead Doctors Don't Lie Radio. It is weekdays, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 888-379-2552, 888-379-2552. You can also listen to the archives of that particular show by going to radio.givedoc90days, and that's 90. radio.givedoc90days.com. Also, Let's Play Doctor, weekdays 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern, 877-912-7529. That's 877-912-7529. Thank you very much, Dr. Wallach.
Thank you, Pharmacist Keith. God bless you, sir, and all the great things that you're doing.
All right. And I've got a new website up and running now. It is under beta still. Everything I've ever written and published on any blog site anywhere is now at askpharmacistkeith.com. Search bar and some things like that aren't active yet. I've literally just finished getting it up to the website just minutes prior to the program today. But it's askpharmacistkeith.com. If you have questions for me, email me at askpharmacistkeith@live.com, askpharmacistkeith@live.com, or text me 502-212-2929. That's 502-212-2929. And don't forget to order your books, DVDs, and CDs from Dr. Wallach by visiting drjwallach.com, drjwallach.com. All the current CDs and DVDs are up there, including the Red Warning Light, and the DVD is Your Doctor Killing You. So you can find all that information there for Black History Month. Don't forget to order the Black Gene Lives CDs that Dr. Wallach has you. And if you want to share a link to that, go to blackgene.campaignfornutrition.com and you can share that link. And as a thank you for watching, we have some free gifts for you. There's the Dead Doctors Don't Lie, Someone Should Go to Jail, Health, Lies, and Medicine video that you can watch. Share that link with folks. That's the Dead Doctors Don't Lie, Someone Should Go to Jail, Health, Lies, and Medicine. Also, there is a report that you can print out and add your contact information on there if you'd like, and share that with as many people as you can. It's Why So Many Young Athletes Die. Again, that report is called Why So Many Young Athletes Die. You can get these both free, absolutely free. You don't have to put your name or email address or anything into the website to get it. It's absolutely free. That's at dddlvideo.com, dddlvideo.com. That stands for Dead Doctors Don't Lie. So dddlvideo.com and get the information there. All right, folks, looks like that's the end of the day. I do encourage you to go over and get your free sample of the CBD cream Soothe by going to aimhighwithhemp.com, aimhighwithhemp.com. If you'd like to learn more about Dr. Wallach, his protocols, take the health evaluation, all that can be found at campaignfornutrition.com, campaignfornutrition.com. Once again, thank you all for participating in this. It's very we're very happy to do this. If you don't mind, go over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Keith Abell, and subscribe and hit the notification button. So as I upload these things, you can be notified. Again, go to campaignfornutrition.com for all the information. And if you're on Facebook, be sure to go to the Give Doc 90 Days page. That 90 is spelled out on that one. It's Give Doc 90 Days. It's facebook.com/Give Doc 90 Days. And like the page there and give us a review. The more we can like that and the more we can review that page, the more people this message gets out to. So I really do appreciate everything you folks do every week. And again, if you want to reach me, send me a text at 502-212-2929. That's 502-212-2929. Oh, I forgot to mention the last thing. We're all about health information and health freedom of information. I've got some t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, regular t-shirts, some sweatshirts. I am We the People. Show your pride in your freedoms by ordering that. Also, there's a t-shirt over there with Dr. Wallach's message on it as well. That's at swag.campaignfornutrition.com. swag.campaignfornutrition.com. I will see you folks again next week. And if you have questions in the meantime, text me or email me, askpharmacistkeith@live.com, and we'll get those answered for you. See you again next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Health and Wellness Hour with Dr. Joe Wallach and pharmacist Keith Abell. If you found value in this episode, be sure to like and share. Also, to be notified when the next episode is posted, click on the subscribe button, then hit that little bell symbol. If you have any questions or comments for Pharmacist Keith or Dr. Wallach, you may send a private email to askpharmacistkeith@live.com or by visiting the Facebook page, Give Doc 90 Days to Better Health, Wellness, and Longevity. To hear more from Pharmacist Keith, subscribe to his Prosperity RX podcast. Prosperity RX is your prescription for prosperity. Prosperity is more than just creating wealth. Prosperity includes health and wellness, personal development, motivation, as well as financial peace and prosperity. Subscribe to Prosperity RX on your favorite podcast platform. To hear more from Dr. Wallach, he has 2 nationally syndicated radio programs daily, Dead Doctors Don't Lie and Let's Play Doctor. Check your local radio listings for details. Also, check out the archives of his past shows at radio.givedoc90days.com. One last thing, if you'd like to join Dr. Wallach's crusade to share his message with others, contact Pharmacist Keith, and he'll teach you how to share the message and create some extra income at the same time. Contact Pharmacist Keith through his email address, keith@prosperityrx.com, or call or text at 502-212-2929. Remember, Keith is still a practicing pharmacist and can't always pick up the phone right away, so leave your name, number, and best time to call, and he'll return your call as soon as possible. Thanks again for tuning in.